That's right, it's finally time for the TRX4 Sport kit. The instructions were brilliant, really well laid out, coloured. You had the one-to-one size for the screws and the links and all that, so it was really straightforward and easy to build. The transmission went together very smoothly. I didn't have any doubt about where everything went. The bearings are all really high quality. They're rubber sealed ball bearings, which is excellent. A lot of these TRX4 Sports are going to see water, so having sealed bearings out of the box is a real advantage. I enjoyed putting this build together over about 3 nights, so you'll see my sleeves change colour a few times during this, but the whole thing was just a pleasure to build, and I looked forward to every evening working on this thing. The portals I've worked with before. This is my 3rd TRX4. They went together easily. I've had others apart as well. I know that they're a high quality gear. The axle didn't obviously have the diff locking mechanism, so they were one step simpler without the selector dog to engage and disengage. Front and rear went together just fine. All the included hardware was clearly marked and quite enjoyable. I didn't have to think too much as I put this thing together, so it was a very relaxing couple of evenings as I went through this. The plastics included are they're just the nice Traxxas quality that you're familiar with. The chassis itself is nice and stiff once it's together. There's not a lot of flex in it. The radio box and the wire entry for it, I used a white grease to help stop water ingress. The servo that you see down there is the JX Servo 46 kilogram 7.4 volt brushless waterproof servo, and I put a WP1080 in there as well, and the BEC that's built in is running at 7.4 volts because there's only the one steering servo to worry about. When I add lights, I'll make sure I've got 6 volts going into the system I use. It's a 27 turn 550 Holmes Trailmaster, and I used the stock 17 tooth pinion with that. So that all went together really easily. Routing cables was quite straightforward as well. I put a strip of foam underneath the battery arm to help hold in smaller batteries. I'm using a Futaba system because I had a spare receiver for that radio, so that's the one I'm using. And getting that together and aligned was very straightforward. It's actually quite a satisfying little build. I've built quite a few rigs in the last few weeks just while I've got an RC-TNT set up as a channel, and so building stuff is actually quite freshly in my mind. I've done some very big, very complicated kits in the past, but this is just a little 2-axle, 110 scale rig, so it was pretty straightforward. Little details that the TRX4 kit has that others don't necessarily have were really nice, like the links were already pre-assembled, and that can be a bit of a pain sometimes, so that was quite satisfying. You saw me just before setting up the ESC. I made sure that everything was set up to my liking, and a couple of times during setup I had the radio connected to a battery just so I could make sure things were aligned so I didn't have to worry about them later on. These drive shafts, they're metal at each end, but they're plastic throughout. They're actually quite tough. Now the wheels, I'm still using stock tires. The wheels that you see me loading up, the plastic, they're actually plastic bead locks. They're the ones from the Element Senduro HD left over after the stage 1 upgrades I did recently. I did this because I didn't want to glue the Canyon Trail tires to the stock Traxxas wheels, which are not beadlock wheels. Be assured that I'm not adding weighted wheels here. They are just the beadlock wheels. They're plastic, but that's all they are. So they weigh the same as the stock wheels. I just didn't have to glue them that way. The whole plastic for the back of the body were really cool. I was really looking forward to putting that together throughout. I really wanted to see what it looked like. But the rest of it went on together. I've left the stock bumper locations for now. I'll do a stage 1 upgrade video at some point and do all the standard stuff you'd expect, and I'll show you what I do later on. But for now I wanted to leave this thing just bog stock so that we'd be able to get a fair comparison between it and some of the ready to run vehicles we've been looking at on this channel recently. So I had all the plastics prepped, I put the cage together, quite enjoyed adding the plastics and just seeing the whole thing go in. And while I was doing this I remember thinking about the paint scheme I wanted to use, and I decided to go with a metallic blue with 1 yellow stripe and a couple of white stripes throughout. Again, really enjoyed putting this together, and I just remember while I was taking this B-roll here I was really looking forward just to getting the whole thing bolted up. Couldn't wait to get it on the rocks. Very nearly done with the build here. Had the whole thing sitting, I had all the plastics ready to go, then that body. Did it up and got it out there. So it was a whole lot of fun. Stay tuned for the rock test, it was an absolute doozy. Thanks for watching. Oh, and please throw me a like if you found this video useful. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll catch you for part 2 of the review very soon. Cheers.